Been a while. I'm sorry. Stuff has come up. Here we go.
And they would, and when, yes, they forcefully kidnapped people. I don't know if they kidnapped or basically had quote-unquote volunteers or prison volunteers, because the lore of Lynn was never really explained. A lot of people believe that he was kidnapped because he is carefree, worried, and not very tough. In fact, he is very almost wimpy and has no muscle mass of his own. He can wrestle away latexes that tried to pounce on him and tried to infect him, will transfer him completely. But honestly, I don't think he could possibly be a prison inmate unless he was, of course, falsely accused or whatever. Anyways, so, crap, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the experiments. The white latexes that were infused or given the animal DNA would latch onto these people and transform them into animals, well, furry, bipedal anthropomorphs. And this is exactly what they wanted. Well, they didn't want this to happen, but it was the only way for them to easily be able to have access to an unlimited supply of this latex stuff, and also to easily introduce animal DNA into the system. Now, here's what they didn't expect. What they didn't expect was for the subject to lose their memory and everything. Basically, everything that they were was basically deleted. Only certain things would remain, whether it be eye color. And the eye color mostly only remained in people who didn't have their minds completely erased. It was very, very rare that creatures or people, test subjects, were not, had their minds completely erased. Because what these latex did is that they were parasites. They were parasites that would latch on and basically take control of the host after they fused with them and their DNA. And this was a big problem because, oh crap, how is humanity going to survive and thrive if only a few of them, actually make it through with half of their brain still intact? So they kept on experimenting with different multiple types of creatures, ranging from goats to sharks to wolves, everything. Even a lion at some points, and snow leopards. I don't know why they use big animals like that, but yeah, snow leopards. Now, in the first week, I found the photo. There's photos on the floor that you can look and see. And look at, and basically you can just look at them. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, in one picture, they introduced a tiny little slime to a corgi dog who had a blue handkerchief on them. Now,
Blue handkerchief was actually on a scientist.
I think they put the handkerchief on them, the programmers of the game, the artists of the game, which is Dragon Snow. Dragon Snow and his friend Shitzy are the only two people who worked on the game. And keep in mind, I'm talking about the original game, not the newer released one. I haven't played that one yet. I haven't found out how to turn it to English.
Or maybe the handkerchief was on the corgi. I don't really remember. It's been so long.
Anyways, the dog became very slimy. They wondered what the heck. So one of the scientists stepped in and tried to remove the dog. The dog must have been taken over by the host.
Parasite.
Of course, the lower the brain function, the more the parasite has control over, but still has the instincts of that animal. Of course, whenever a dog sees a person, especially a very friendly dog, they will pounce on them, right? Well, this thing was infused with a latex, or had been taken over by a latex and transformed by a latex, and fused with the scientist, causing him to be a colored, basically anthropomorphic version of the corgi. Now, how we know this is the same corgi and not just a touch and infection that slowly spread out is because the blue handkerchief was on the transformed scientist body. Now, another thing. Remember when I was talking about the cat and how that end scene was, covered with those clothes? Yeah, there are several references to the his friends or something, other creators. I'm not for sure. It could spread several different ways. It could transform. It could cover up a suit, like a hazmat suit. You put on the suit, and the suit will transform you from the inside out. Yeah, the inside out. But yeah, if that scientist was that corgi's owner, well, him and his dog are a lot closer now. Oh boy. Anyway, on to the next part. So they kept trying and experimenting until they finally made one that was, well, what's called a black latex, which is a subspecies of the white latex. I don't know why or how necessarily the color changed or the switch. I don't really remember if I found any stuff like that. It's kind of hard to remember. Anyway, what they didn't expect is that for these creatures to be very intelligent. In fact, they did not need a host. They do need a host to live, but their life cycle continues like this. Adult. The adult will stay around for I didn't really say, I can just base it off of pictures. Then the adult will kind of, not really shrivel up, but kind of like turn into some type of like small podium type of thing. About as tall as like two desks.
Like a chrysalis, but with the mask still on. Black chrysalis, but with like a deformed giant form of the mask on. I'll explain the mask in a second.
The nightstand stacked on top. And they become, well, just pure slime. And here's the thing about the black latex. They have this mask. I don't know if the mask was something else they found inside the asteroid or not. That wasn't really specified where they found the mask. But after a good while, the pillar thing, which we will call, I'll come up with names later, but for now we'll just call this Life Cycle Phase 1 Black Latex. Transforms into Life Cycle 2 of Black Latex, which is a crystallized form. It's a black, gray, white crystals. And these crystals were basically eggs. The third cycle, multiple of the same creature would crawl out. They would crawl out as babies, and then slowly they would grow up to be adults. Now, one of the characters in this game is actually one of the Black Latex, and they mentioned the riots, but they couldn't remember most of the riots because they were only a small pup. And this happened supposedly 5 years ago. The riots were supposedly 5 years ago. And now you'd think these black latexes are not that.
Meaning that the adult life cycle, or like how long it takes for a pup to turn into an adult, as in terms of black latexes, are 5 years.
That bad. But here's the thing. Pearl is the only one who actually can talk and has a sense of thinking, self-thought. He explains that he basically abandoned his pack in order to learn more and read more, and how humans and stuff are so fascinating. Basically, in wolf culture, that means, he said it himself, since we're part wolf, abandoning the pack basically means you can never go back. Which he says that because when you ask, do you miss your friends? You find them in the library, and it takes kind of a while to get there.
Also, side note, sorry, again, I don't know if they decide to become the chrysalist or not. I don't know if it's like a forced thing, or how long they stay in adult form.
But it's really interesting how you get to the library. I'll get to that in a second. So these things are way more intelligent. They hunt by sight, and they can smell really well as well. I found documents explaining